You're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content, created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack Go. Enjoy the show.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us, 865-658-5824. We are flying solo this evening. Emilio may join us. He's got some family still in town. I know Tim is out of town in Milwaukee, so obviously safe travels to Tim as he heads down to the great city of Milwaukee. We're going to cover some more Packers-Dolphins as the Victory Friday marches on. I know we had a football game earlier today between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders, which the Chiefs do it again, and of course it ends on a controversial call that goes in the Chiefs' favor. That just seems to be the MO there anytime the Chiefs are involved. We'll also talk about some news around the North as the Chicago Bears obviously fired their head coach. We'll get your all's takes on that. Also, we've got a poll question up here on YouTube. Make sure that you get your vote in. And we had asked, who is your PTA Defensive Player of the Week? And the choices are Quay Walker, Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Enagbare, or Isaiah McDuffie. And again, the Offensive Player of the Week for the PTA posse here was Jordan Love. Ran away with it. I think he was well over 60% of the votes. So you guys make sure you hop over there. So let's go to the chat here. Give a shout out to everybody. We got Daryl in the house, Mike Berry in here. Good to see you, buddy. Larry Cano, hello, sir. Harry Cheese, Rail in the house. We got Eric Sutherland. Good to see everybody filing in here. Hopefully everybody's staying warm. I know there's a cold front sweeping across the United States right now. We're in the 20s down here in Tennessee. I think by Monday we're supposed to be somewhere around 15, 14 degrees, something like that. So I'm sure it's much, much colder up north. So just make sure, like I said, make sure you bundle up and stay warm out there as we get a little deeper here towards the deep part of the winter months. And obviously, to me, it's the best football. It really is. Any questions you guys have, I'll try to hit on them in the chat here. Just let me know. And we're also going to cover some stuff that kind of came down the pike in terms of the just news around the league, I guess you could say. And we'll go ahead and jump into that. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat here. Let's see, Daryl already chiming in. Quay Walker is my top option. There you go. It was tough for me, man. I was trying to decide. Now, I don't get the vote on this, obviously, but I was trying to decide who would I vote for. You know, LVN had a pretty good game. I don't think he'll win. Kingsley Enagbare, I mean, that's one that really, when you look at the impact on the game, I think he probably had the biggest impact on the game. I could be wrong, but then again, Isaiah McDuffie too. You know, McDuffie was great. There's one play in particular too where he has to play match, and I've got chalk talk ready for tomorrow, but he has to match up. I think it's the two on the opposite side because Quay's playing an underneath hook zone, and no hesitation, Isaiah McDuffie, man, he realizes I'm in trouble here. Gets back in plenty of time, makes the play, ends up being a positive play for the Packers on defense. So Isaiah McDuffie, I don't think you go wrong there. And it looks like Quay Walker right now is running away with it at 57% currently. So make sure you get your votes in there. Again, that's an opportunity for you guys and gals to pick the players of the week every single week. That's the whole reason we do it. We try to stay out of it. Although I'm pretty sure Emilio and Tim still vote. I guarantee you Tim is voting on burner accounts right now for Quay Walker. I promise you that. So showing a bad connection. Hopefully that'll clean up. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But as a matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and shut this down over here. That way it might improve the speed of the internet. But let's see here. Jarrell Lee in the house says, LFG, Quay, go Pack, go. Hopefully he can stay consistent. We need him making plays. Yeah. And again, I don't see anything where it's like, he'll probably revert back to the old ways. If he's made the decision of, look, I'm just going to play loose. I'm going to play with my hair on fire. And if I make a mistake, I'll make it big as opposed to lagging back and being too conservative. There shouldn't be no going back, right? Listen, he's not going to be perfect, right? Nobody's expecting him to be. We're not expecting any of these players to be perfect. The frustrating part, I think, as a fan, is when you see players like Darnell Savage was the poster child for it. And I don't mean to pick on Savage because he's not here anymore, but Darnell Savage, man, it was just constantly, it was like he never played aggressive, but he didn't play conservative enough either. He was right in the middle. And when you're right in that middle ground where you're just playing hesitant all the way around, you're going to get eat up. I mean, both in the run and the pass. That's kind of how Quay Walker felt for a long time. In these last two games, albeit just two games, it seems like he's kind of shaking that off, and it's, hey, let's just go play ball. Like we talk about this a lot, and I know you guys get tired of hearing it, but when you see him cover a seam route, there's no hesitation. He's comfortable. He knows he can do it, and he just goes and makes a play. When there's a play where he has to blitz, there's no hesitation. He's comfortable. He's getting after the quarterback. But everything in between, it's like like he's scared to make the play. And hopefully he straightens it up, man, for sure. So we'll see, though. We'll see. Roger Davis in the chat. So happy to see Quay coming around. Amen to that, buddy. HTE in the chat says, if Quay has a standout game versus the Lions, can we say that he has arrived? Also, why hasn't anyone posted Van Ness's sack? I'm pretty sure I posted it last night. If you'll go back now, listen, it was many tweets ago. I know I hit on it last night on Twitter. It definitely made chalk talk. It was a fun play, no doubt. It's LVN 2 games in a row with a sack, man. It's exciting because if he emerges and you've still got JJ Enagbare doing his thing, and you got Rashawn Gary, who still leads the team in pressures and sacks. If LVN comes alive and he starts to warrant a little bit of the attention on that side, watch things really open up for Rashawn Gary. Because, again, it's like this is a story that tell as old as time, as they say. I remember when I first became a Packer fan, we had a guy named KGB, right? Kabir Baja-Biamila. And great pass rusher, but they were always talking about we don't have that pass rusher opposite of him, right? Then you end up getting Aaron Campman, and I can't remember who came first, but they were supposed to play off of each other. And I don't know all the details. I can't remember all the details, but for whatever reason, stuff went wrong with KGB, and it was just Aaron Campman. And then we switched to a 34, and we asked Aaron Campman to play outside linebacker. And he's used to being, a defensive end the whole time. And at that time, it was a lot more of a transition because the defensive ends were way bigger back then in the early 2000s, right? They were built like a hybrid defensive tackle, like maybe it just seemed like the defensive ends back there were probably sitting at about anywhere from 270 to 290-ish, right? And some defenses, they'd be 300-pound defensive ends because the run was still somewhat heavy at the time. And then it's like as you transition into 34, man, taking a big guy like that, it's going to be really hard to make him an outside linebacker in a 34 defense. So he never really developed. He ends up messing up his knee, and obviously he never really had a true shot at the 34 defense. Well, you end up getting you end up getting Clay Matthews. And Clay Matthews just becomes a beast off the edge, right? But we were always talking about we need an edge defender opposite Clay Matthews to take that heat off. Now, I'm of the opinion you should get a 3-tech. Have a 3-tech on one side that's dominant and an edge defender that's dominant, and you can really manipulate what the offense is trying to do in that regard. So, but yeah, it's something that if LVN really does pop moving forward, I think it's going to help Gary tremendously and vice versa. I really do. I think they'll feed off each other. You could tell the way that they celebrate each other's success on the field is really cool to see. And JJ Enagbare looks like a physical freak. I don't know what it is, man. He looks like an animal. Like I feel pretty comfortable saying, based off of what we've seen on game tape, he's more of a physical freak than LVN is. And that's just strictly like if you removed, their weight, their height, their speed, all that stuff, and just look at the way they played, Enagbare plays like an animal. He really does. I see a little more in him than anyone else on that front, to be honest with you. Hopefully he can continue to put that together as well. So we'll see, though. Let's see. Let's move into some of the news here. Appreciate everybody in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it here. You guys know when we're flying solo, it makes things a little bit difficult. If you would hit that like button for us, though, feel free to sub to the channel. We're picking up a bunch of subs here lately. Appreciate everybody supporting the channel. It's awesome to see it growing and everybody kind of coming together, rooting on the Packers here. But so I tweeted this out. The cycle continues in Chicago. Ian Rappaport had tweeted out earlier today. Bears coach Matt Eberflus has been fired after an ugly loss to the Lions, the team's 6th in a row. Chicago now has the NFL's 3rd head coach opening. So Matt Eberflus is officially out in Chicago. No surprise there. I know there was a lot of arguing going on Twitter yesterday. Whose fault was it? Was it Eberflus's fault? Was it Caleb Williams' fault? My answer is yes. It's both of them. You draft a quarterback number 1 overall, is supposed to be this generational talent, and he doesn't have the wherewithal to call that timeout himself, or at least hurry things up. I mean, the fact that they ran one play in 30 seconds to lose the game is just, man, that's not just it's not just Caleb, it's not just Eberflus, but it's definitely both of them, and it's the OC too. Everybody's ranting and raving over this OC, the honeymoon phase of this, the guy who stepped in for Shane Waldron after he lost his job, and they're like, oh my God, he's going to revolutionize this offense. Why isn't he getting any blame either? He's the one talking in the headset to Caleb. So Eberflus takes the fall here, and listen, well deserved. He's not a good coach. He's not been a good head coach. That's the reality of the situation. But also for the OC to not take any heat for it is kind of silly to me, because he should have been the one saying, Flus, timeout, call a timeout here. Or Caleb, get to the lines, clock it. Something else was being said. They all made a decision collectively as, hey, let's try to get another playoff. It was just an absolute debacle, and I'm here for it, man, to be honest with you. All right, let's move it along. Let's see. Hog NFL on Twitter tweeted out, Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney are 9-3 for the first time in their NFL careers. I love the pictures they chose here too. Xavier with the cool shades on, too cool for school, and then Josh Jacobs looking like a 12-year-old with the gator on there. But yeah, so pretty cool, man. These guys, think about where they came from. One came from the Raiders, right? The Las Vegas Raiders, and the other coming from the New York Giants. And look at both of those teams. We watched the Raiders give a game away to Kansas City today, and there's no surprise there. Nobody expected the Raiders to beat the Chiefs, but man, they are a bad football team. Another example of a bad head coach. Antonio Pierce was a really good football player in the NFL for the Giants. Been a horrible head coach, in my opinion. I think that emotion wore off real quick, where the players wanted a players coach, and they felt like that was Antonio Pierce. They were letting them, smoke cigars after big wins in the locker room, and it was this big party and the music blaring and everything. And all of a sudden, when you start losing, you trade Devontae Adams. Now things are obviously going down the crapper for the Raiders. The fact that Josh Jacobs got to come from that situation to Green Bay, and now they're sitting at 9-3, is pretty wild to think about. And the same thing with Xavier McKinney, team captain, wore the green dot. What the hell are they doing in New York, gang? Like, think about that. You had the best running back in the league and arguably the best post safety in the league. And they were both team captains, and you let them both walk in free agency. That's a wild thing to think about. And I love that Goody puts such an emphasis on captain caliber players. And what I mean by that, not necessarily by the talent, although they're good there too. The main thing with that is they're leaders in the locker room. Their teammates vote them captains, right? Like you've seen Josh Jacobs, in the locker room. I think it was after last week, I believe. No, it was after this week. It was last night. Everything's a blur, man, from the last few days with Thanksgiving and everything. But hearing him talk in the locker room, he's all heart, man. That dude he's a real deal. Xavier McKinney, one of my favorite highlights of the year, and I know Xavier McKinney is I think he's still tied for the lead in interceptions in the NFL. My favorite highlight was him smashing that tablet when he missed that play. Like, it just shows you how much it means to him. And you think about this, and this is culture 101. The rest of the players on that team, who are the youngest roster in the NFL, they're sitting there looking at the guy who has no reason to be upset. He's having an awesome year. And if anybody has a little bit of maneuverability, a little bit of space to make a mistake, it's Xavier McKinney, right? He's balled out all year long. He makes one mistake in that game, and you see him throwing the tablets. What do you think the rest of the players on that defense thought? Damn, if it's not good enough for him with the season he's having, I need to make sure I play better, right? I need to try harder. I need to work harder. I need to study the playbook more. I need to study the opponent more, the tape. You can't put a price tag on that. The fact that both these guys are Green Bay Packers is just absolutely wild to me. It really is. All right, let's move it along. So we got a little bit of tape here. Everybody sort of filing out their coaching tape and everything. Jacob Morley put out here drop in the bucket. He says, Jordan Love's sicko throw of the week. So this throw here, we'll hit it on Chalk Talk tomorrow. This is where I think he hits the 9 route to Christian Watson down the sideline. Guys, you can't throw it any better than that, man. What a great throw. Like, seriously, I know he has accuracy issues from time to time, but this is just an absolute dime piece, stepping up in the pocket. And great job by Christian, late hands. You'll see when we show it tomorrow, we've got the all-22 where you can see the sideline cam. And Christian, that guy's, like, you could tell Christian's saving that burst for the end. Like, he's not just running away from him. and then giving the corner a chance to run into him and break it up. It's like he's lagging. Last second, hits the Jets, speeds up, catches it, obviously makes the grab. So huge play there. And again, just what an awesome throw from Jordan Love. The mechanics look great on that throw. I mean, that's an absolute dime piece for sure. So Jordan heating up at the right time, just like last year, man. And Jacob Morley, make sure you'll give him a follow at Jacob Morley, one of the best follows on Twitter. I know I say that a lot, but I'm telling you, you need to do it. He's awesome. Andy Herman put this tweet out. Packers are 4-1 since bringing on Robert Saleh as a consultant. The Jets are 1-5 since firing him. Think about everything we just talked about with culture and Josh Jacobs leaving the Raiders, Xavier McKinney leaving the Giants, and then looking at Robert Saleh. Listen, I'm of the opinion Robert Saleh was not a good head coach. That's just me personally. One of the great defensive minds in the game, though. I think he's one of those dudes that I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another head coaching opportunity later on down the road. But I think that he can be one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire National Football League. I love that he's hanging out with Matt LaFleur. Just in case, hear me out here. He's a consultant to the offense. We know that, right? Like he's basically given the offense pointers on how he would attack them as a defense. And he knows pretty well how to do that, seeing that he beat the Packers 2 years ago in Lambeau, right? When the Jets came to town, they absolutely bullied the Packers. But, he's given pointers to Matt LaFleur on, hey, look, here's how you might want to attack this defense. Here's how they're probably going to look to attack you. Here's how you can exploit it. You guys remember 2 weeks ago, he put that stalk wheel in. You guys remember that? The stalk wheel we talked about on Chalk Talk. What it was Christian Watson jumped out in toward the secondary and acted like he was going to block, like he's sizing up the block. And they call that stalking. And then he just, bam, up the sideline with the wheel route, right? Great play. It was an important play in the game, too, if I remember correctly. Well, we've seen another stalk route this game here. It'll make Chalk Talk. I'm trying to think of which one it was. I just remember seeing it, and I know I've got it labeled, so it'll remind me to look at that player. But that stalk route, I can't remember if the player got the ball or not, but what you're seeing is that's a perfect example. The fact that Matt LaFleur specifically name-dropped Robert Saleh, that it was his idea to put that stalk wheel in, and now the very next game you're seeing another stalk route. He's putting his stamp on this offense. It's a really, really cool thing. And the fact that him and Matt LaFleur were, best men at each other's weddings. I believe at least one was the best man at the other's wedding. They were college roommates. Imagine working the dream job with your best friend. How awesome is that, right? And you talk about keeping the morale high and keeping each other in check and being able to be brutally honest with each other and all that stuff. I think it's huge that Saleh's on the staff. What I was getting at, though, let's say this defense continues to improve. And let's say by the end of the year, they're top 5 in scoring, top 5 in rushing, top 5 in passing. They're top 10 in everything right now. What if a team came calling for Jeff Hafley, right? If they came calling for Jeff Hafley, let's say they both get interviewed. Robert Saleh and Jeff Hafley get interviewed for a head coaching job, and Jeff Hafley gets the job. If Robert Saleh doesn't get offered a head coaching job, where do you think he would be? His top choice for defensive coordinator would be? It'd be right here in Green Bay with Matt LaFleur. I think it's awesome that they somewhat secured him in case that were to happen. And there's some things you'd have to button up that if someone else offered him assistant coach, you might have to revoke or have to pull or demote, I should say, Rich Bisaccia's assistant coach title in order to, by the rules, keep Saleh. But then that makes, Rich Bisaccia fair game to make what wouldn't be a lateral move because he would be promoted back to assistant coach if he went somewhere else. But it kind of feels like that's what they're doing with Saleh, It's really interesting. This is a great point, Eric. I didn't even think about this, man. Eric Sutherland in the chat with a dime. You think Saleh has anything to do with Quay picking his play up? I had not even thought of that, Eric. It does kind of feel like Saleh has been here 6 games now, right? And all of a sudden, Quay in the last 2 games has just been on fire. How cool would that be if there was some kind of commonality there that maybe Saleh is helping on defense a little bit? To me, it just feels like Quay's being more aggressive. I honestly, I know it sounds simple, but I think it was just something where the coaching staff's like, listen, dude, your job is on the line here. Like, you got to start making plays. Let's just be aggressive. Just be aggressive. What do we have to do to make you be more aggressive? And I think that's kind of how, that came about. It just feels that way. But Robert Saleh, you're right, man. I didn't even draw that parallel. That's a very, very interesting point, Eric. That might be the case, dude. It might be the case. It might be Saleh kind of coming in and helping with that too. As Deadfish says here too, man. McDuffie too. McDuffie played good, guys. He played good. Let me check on the poll question real quick. So we're sitting at let's see here. Yeah, we're at 52% Quay Walker, 29% Isaiah McDuffie, 19% Kingsley Enagbare, and LVN does not have a vote yet. So doesn't look like LVN's going to win. But yeah, McDuffie looked really comfortable, man. Really comfortable. We're going to hit the PFF grades here in a minute. I'm excited to see who graded out well. But yeah, it's interesting. Ron Samble in the chat says, I thought Saleh only worked with the offense. That's what Matt said, right? That's what Matt said. And then he gave us a detail like we were talking about with the stalk wheel. So that's just all, like I said, Eric brung it up. When we say he's not working with the defense, do we really think he's not doing anything with the defense? Think about that. You know what I mean? Like he's just staying completely away. And the thought behind that too is like, well, Hafley's doing a good job. You don't want to mess any of that up, blah, blah, blah. Hafley doesn't need a former head coach kind of putting him on the spot. You heard what Hafley said. Robert Saleh is one of my best friends in football. You guys remember me talking about this back in when we hired Jeff Hafley. I immediately started pulling Jeff Hafley stuff. We pulled tape from BC to watch the defense. We pulled all kinds of stuff. We found an interview with a guy. His last name is McCarthy, I believe, and he interviewed Jeff Hafley. And Jeff Hafley said like 3 or 4 times in that interview, "My friends in the NFL, my friends in the NFL." And he kept saying that because he's talking about how coaching in college defense is way different than coaching in the NFL. And he kept talking about his friends in the NFL. And every time he said it, I would say Robert Saleh, Robert Saleh, Robert Saleh, because he was at multiple stops with Robert Saleh. Lo and behold, we end up putting Robert Saleh on the staff, and he mentioned it in the presser. If he said, I'm certainly open to anything that anybody in the organization has, especially Robert Saleh. Saleh is one of my best friends in football. So there you go. I think we shouldn't kid ourselves into thinking he has nothing to do with the defense. But again, his primary focus is on the offense. But also, I think it could be something where Matt LaFleur and Jeff Hafley sit down and like, hey, what do you think about putting Saleh on this aspect of our defensive scheme this week? You want to throw him in there and just get his take on it. That he's not out there coaching players, right? But he's giving tips to the coaches and the position coaches, I guarantee it. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. But and again, we're just kind of spitballing here. We don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but I think it's very interesting. I really do. All right, we'll get to the PFF grades in a minute. Shout out to Justin, our graphics guy over at Packernet. If you guys aren't following him, go give him a follow at JYoung Packernet. If you guys need any graphics created, he does that on the side. So hit him up. There's been multiple times I've asked him to create a graphic for me, and he just knocks them out of the park. So I appreciate him. I thought that was a really cool one. We actually use it as a thumbnail for this YouTube video with them grabbing the turkey leg there, got the Packernet logo and all that good stuff. His Twitter handle's in the upper right, but I appreciate him. This is a cool video. I didn't see it earlier. I think it came out after we did the morning show, but the Packers actually tweeted out this video.
Yo, it's going down. Thanksgiving time. At a feast. Come on. Thanksgiving feast. Off a dub. Thankful for the pack. Let's keep it going.
So obviously, for those of you listening on the pod, they can't see that. It's Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love walking down the tunnel carrying that big-ass platter of food. And Jordan Love carrying a turkey leg too, gnawing on it, talking while he's chewing. I love it, man. Just such a cool dynamic to this team, man. They're a lot of fun to watch, no doubt. All right, let's get into a little bit of the tape here. We're going to break it down real quick, and then we'll get to the PFF grades. We don't want to go too long. I know everybody's exhausted from the holiday, probably been out shopping today too. But we'll just hit on a few of these. We're going to do Chalk Talk tomorrow. Get ready for that. I will post the time as soon as we decide on the time. May go to dinner tomorrow night, so we might go early, go live a little early. I'll definitely let y'all know in time to adjust your schedule if you want to tune in. But this play here, I said Tucker Kraft pointing at the end zone cam saying, "You have a happy Thanksgiving." I thought this was cool. This is what Tucker does. This is the stuff Tucker does. Watch the end of this play here. Tucker going to have a little leak, make the catch, 16, 17. I think it was a 17-yard gain. Watch him get up, and I'll zoom in here. Watch this right here. Get him point at the all-22 camera. How cool is that? Love that dude, man. And it's obvious, too. He's pointing at the all-22 camera. Like, he's pointing at the end zone cam. Knowing they're going to be watching tape, I guarantee you the coaches caught on that. or caught onto that while they were watching tape. If they watched any today, if not, they'll be hitting it tomorrow. I guarantee it. So next play, seeing a lot of this. Saw a lot of Dontavion Wicks slander. Listen, the drops are an issue. I'm not trying to negate that. It's been bad. It's been real bad. But there's other stuff he's doing in this offense that's, I mean, you can understand why Coach LaFleur keeps putting him out there. And again, he caught three. He caught 3 of the 4 targets yesterday. He had 1 drop, and it was a bad drop. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. But the dude is he's playing pretty damn good football when it comes to blocking and other aspects. On here, I said, make no mistake, the Packers bullied the Dolphins last night. Tucker Kraft and Dontavion Wicks doing the dirty work. Tucker throws one out of the club, and Wicks takes his guy to the cooler. Check this out right here, guys. So we're going to have a play to the right here. I think I go slow motion in a second. So you see Jaden Reed on the end route. Look at Tucker right here. Let me pause it. Look at Tuck, right? And look at Dontavion Wicks. Like, look at the body lean that Tay Wicks has here. Look at that technique. Like, he's putting everything he's got into this block to seal the edge. Look at that running lane it creates for Jaden Reed. Now, watch Tucker Kraft on this. Let me drop that comment down. Look at Tucker Kraft. Going to throw his guy completely out the club. Watch this. Bang. Pancake, right? Now, look at Tay Wicks still holding that block. And watch Tay drive him. He's not letting him go. Like, you can't put a price tag on that, guys. And look at how many yards Jaden ends up getting after that because they kept with the block. If Tay Wicks said, okay, he's here, let me just ease off here. And listen, I'm not going to name names, but you've seen receivers do that for the Packers this year, right? This is huge. It's absolutely huge that you've got guys that don't have the football that care just as much, if not more, about blocking for their teammates on a jet sweep like this. Tucker Kraft is quickly becoming one of the best tight ends in the game. Make no bones about it, man. This dude is the real deal, and he's going to continue to be the real deal. Now, here's the next play, or another play. I said, as Matt LaFleur says, no block, no rock. Christian Watson and Dontavion Wicks paving the way for the Jaden Reed touchdown. So here we go again. I want you to look down here to the bottom. This is going to be an RPO flat, all right? So it's like a 20, I think it was a 22 RPO flat. So they're going to set up a run if they wanted. If they got the hat count, they're going to try to go basically a mid-zone run is what it looks like to me. I called 22 because it looks like that's where Josh Jacobs was heading. And what Jordan's doing is with the run-pass option, if he likes his hat count over here, they've got a flat baked in, a F flat right here. With the F with the flyer, he's going to run a flat route. And you got Tay Wicks looking to block the safety and Christian Watson blocking the corner. Now, look at the hat count, guys. Look at this. When you talk about they were keying in on stopping the run, look at how everyone's on the right side of the line. If you were to draw a line down the center of the field, they're on the right hash. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive hat count. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers. Okay, I'm sorry, 5 blockers. So it's 5 on 5 with blockers. Your +1 on the hat count is actually the guy who's going to catch the ball. And I slow motion here so you can see these guys. Watch Christian's the 1, Tay Wicks is the 2, Jay Reed's the 3, and he's going to be getting the F flat here. Watch this. Look at Christian. Watch how patient Christian is. Look at his hands down. See, and that's on purpose. He wants this guy to commit. As soon as that guy commits, he's going to wall him off and wash him completely out of the play. Look how patient he is. And then right now, bang, shoot your shot. Look at that block. I mean, just absolutely perfect. Let him use his own leverage against himself to take himself out of the play. Now, what do you got? Another hat on a hat. Watch Tay Wicks. Look at that sticky block. Just drive, and look at the lane it created. Watch Tay, too. Look how fired up Tay Wicks is. You'll see it right here on this angle. There's the Christian Watson block. There's Tay Wicks. Keep your eye on Tay Wicks. Don't take your eye off Tay Wicks. Watch him. Look how fired up he is. That's what I'm talking about. So, again, the drop's been an issue. But that dude is all in for this football team, and you could tell it's obvious why Matt LaFleur really, really likes him. You know, again, just an unselfish player, still a young player too. And you talking about coming from great people, man. I got a chance to meet his mother in Tennessee. My sister-in-law and her husband were sitting like 5 rows down from us, and we had a crew of about, I don't know, it's probably about 8 of us, something like that. We're sitting up top. Excuse me, I can't quit yawning. Turkey coma trying to set in. And I noticed, I think it was Emilio said, hey, man, that's got to be Tay Wicks' family because everybody walked in with Tay Wicks jerseys on. And I texted my sister-in-law. I was like, hey, that lady sitting behind you, if you don't care, ask her if she knows Tay Wicks. And she went, who's Tay Wicks? I said, just don't worry about it, just ask her. So she did. She asked her and said, yeah. She texted me back and said, it's his mom. She said, come down here if you want to meet her. So we got to go down and meet Tay Wicks' mom. Just a phenomenal lady. Everybody with them. They were just great people. Really, really cool to get a chance to meet them. But again, he's a young player. Like the people who want to give up on him, you guys did this with Davante Adams. I remember it like it was yesterday, man. Davante Adams couldn't catch a cold his second year in the league. And everybody was we just need to cut him. He's taking up space and this and that. And it was just like, man, it's a second-round pick. And this is where I always try to pump my brakes when I get overly emotional too, is I say, all right, the coaches know what the hell they're doing, right? Like there's got to be a reason they like him. You're seeing it all over the tape here. And listen, I love Romeo Doubs. I think Romeo Doubs is a much better wide receiver than Tay Wicks right now. But Romeo Doubs does not block like Tay Wicks. I'm sorry, he doesn't. Tay Wicks is a monster at blocking it. And when you can put him at that Z wing spot, what that does is free. Christian's the only one who's been able to do that, block out of the wing. And it's almost like a tight end position, right? You're in between the tackle and the tight end, or on the outside shoulder of the tackle, and you're set back about 1.5 yards. So you're almost playing like an H-back, like a hybrid type, position. Christian was the only one of the receivers that could do that, other than Malik Heath. Malik Heath, I feel like, could do it too. He's physical enough. Well, now that they can put Tay Wicks in that spot more often, guess what that does? Now that frees Christian up to do other things. So you've got just as effective of a blocker in Tay Wicks playing Z-wing, and now you're able to put Christian Watson out on the boundary and let him stretch the defense. It's absolutely huge, man. It really is. So, Rel in the chat, definitely giving sophomore Adams. I agree. It feels like that, And listen, I don't think we can realistically expect Tay Wicks to go on and be as good as Davante Adams. Davante Adams is probably a Hall of Famer. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. He'll probably make it into the Hall of Fame some year. It might not be first ballot depending on how his career ends, but I'm not saying that Tay Wicks is that player. I'm simply saying that's how quick you gave up on Davante Adams. Not you, not anybody listening, just in general. People gave up on Davante Adams that quick. And then next thing you know, the hands came around, right? And the late hands came around. And what you've seen with Dontavion Wicks, the same you see with Davante Adams, is both of them they're just great route runners, right? And listen, Davante Adams was never a run blocker like Tay Wicks is showing right now. I'm sorry he wasn't. He's willing to, but Tay Wicks is he's impressing the heck out of me, man. Really is. From the blocking, like I said. All right, we won't get into that. That was basically the 49ers, or I'm sorry, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Raiders game and that ending there. So that's it. Just wanted to kind of run through. That's some of the stuff that I've seen on Twitter today. Let's get into the PFF grades before we wrap this big bear up. I'm really excited to kind of see. This is actually be the first time that I've looked at it too. So I'm excited to see who graded out well. I looked at it a little bit earlier when I put the tweet out, but when I do that, I just look at the best players essentially and try to put in the tweet who the best players were from the game. That's usually how I approach that. So let's see if we can get this thing. My program is acting a little bit weird here. I'm going to try to make sure I don't close this out here. There we go. All right. So let's get the PFF grades up. And they took a pretty good jump in terms of team grades this week too. I noticed that as we get it on the screen here. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. I'll go full screen just to make it a little bit easier. Like I said, it's a little more difficult when you're flying solo, but there we go. That should be zoomed in enough. All right, so if we sort by overall, the Packers grade currently as a team, right, they are at 77.8. That's 17th best in the league. I want to say they were like 2 or 3 spots lower than that before this week. Okay, so obviously they increased quite a bit this week, had a pretty good week. Let's get into the offensive grades, or I'm sorry, the team grades in week 13. Hands down, this was the highest grade as a team that the Packers have received all year at a 77.9. What does that say? According to PFF, and again, it's just according to PFF, this is the best football game the Packers have played this year as a whole, right? 77.9. Their offensive grade was a 79.4. Their passing grade was a 76.2. Pass blocking, 76.8. Receiving, 77.8. Running grade, 89.3 for the running backs. Just phenomenal there. Had explosive plays from all 3 backs. That was really cool to see. First time that's happened this year on Chalk Talk. Run blocking grade still low, 54.1. Take it for what it's worth. Defensive grade 66.5, run defense 74.4, tackle grade 74.5. That tackle grade is huge, guys. That's the second highest tackle grade they've received this year. And when you're playing a team like the Dolphins, you have got to tackle those guys because you've seen it was dink and dunk all day long, no doubt. Pass rush grade 63.3, coverage grade 63.6, and special teams grade of 62.2. Now let's get into the individual grades. This is the meat and taters of the operation here. I absolutely love this. Boys, hell has frozen over because Tucker Kraft has got a good PFF grade this week. We've talked about it all year. We felt like he's played solid football for whatever reason. PFF didn't like him. I pointed out a couple of times that I did notice on tape inconsistencies. He'd whiff on a block. He'd run the wrong route. You could tell he was kind of lost a couple of times. Maybe that played a role. I don't know. But today, as we sit here on November 29th, one day after the Week 13 matchup with the Dolphins, Tucker Kraft came in at an 89.7, the highest graded player on the Green Bay Packers roster for Week 13. Passing game grade of 91.4, run blocking grade of 63.9, a pass blocking grade of 58.1. Obviously, catching the football, he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal yesterday. Second is Josh Jacobs at an 86.4. Third, Jordan Love, 77.7. We talked about this. He's graded out in the 70s the last 5 games. I think this makes 6 games now. And this might be his highest graded game of the year. It's got to be close. I know it won't pull it up for you guys. Actually, it will. Look at here. All right. So 77.7 is his highest graded game of the year. So though, as far as him grading out in the 70s, week 6, 7, and 8, he was over 70. He dropped to a 68.3 in week 9. Then week 11, 73.7. Then last week, 63.5. Then this week, his highest grade of the year, 77.7. So you're seeing consistency, right? Like his new floor, if you were to go off the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, his new floor is 63.5. His ceiling is 77.7. So Jordan Love is cranking it up, no doubt about that. Really excited to see where he ends up at as the year goes along here. Fourth, Chris Brooks, only 15 snaps, but a 77.3. What a steal this guy's been. Like every time he gets a rock, every time he's asked to pass block, every time he's thrown a pass in the passing game, it just seems like he always the moment is never too big for him. And this is Brian Gutekunst just putting on a clinic on how to sign players that are just sitting out there that other teams are willing to put on the waiver wire and try to throw on their practice squad and just snatch them up. Chris Brooks, hell of a job, man. Pass blocking grade 80.4, running grade of 78.8. Just a phenomenal day. Again, only 15 snaps, but those 15 snaps freaking matter, man. They matter. Jaden Reed, 36 snaps, 72.1. Great grade there by Jaden Reed. Christian Watson, 69.6. Look at the snaps, guys. 51 snaps for Christian Watson. Let's go. Emmanuel Wilson, only 4 snaps, 69.1. What's crazy is he only had 4 snaps. He had 2 running plays, right? And one of which was an explosive, over 10 yards. Just, man. Phenomenal job. Zach Tom graded out a 66.7. Bo Melton, albeit just 9 snaps, 63.7. Dontavion Wicks, there you go, 62.7. That's what I'm talking about. Run blocking grade 74.2. So they agreed with the tape, no doubt. And then Sean Ryan with the 60.6. So those are your top graded players on offense. Josh Myers, 60.3. That's actually kind of high for Josh, who's struggled at times. Let's see how his season's gone here. 50, 60, 54, 63, 38, 59, 67, 44, 57, 63, 60. So, yeah, that's kind of like right there in the middle for Josh. It's definitely on the higher end, I should say. I mean, his highest graded game this year was a 67.1 there in week 7 against Houston. But, again, Josh Myers just not, according to PFF, not playing up the standards there. Elton Jenkins came out with a 31.4. I'm wondering how much the penalties played a role there because obviously he beat the hell out of that guy on that play. I loved it too. I don't know about you guys, but ragdoll that dude. Some people were saying it's not a penalty. Some are saying it is. I don't know. To me, it looked like they felt sorry for the guy because Elton just absolutely walloped him. But I'm a Packer fan, so of course I'm going to say that. But again, that is your offensive grades. Now let's hop over and check out the defensive grades and see who kind of stood out in that regard. Top of the list, surprise, surprise, Xavier McKinney at a 78.0. Look at number 2 with 14 snaps. Aaron Mosby, 73.9. Shout out to Jacob the Beard. We were in a text thread with the guys yesterday watching the game, and he said, man, Aaron Mosby earning some more reps. Before we even seen the PFF grade, Jacob called it. He could see it, and it was all. He was just all over the field. Every time Mosby was on the field, he was making a play. I noticed him on special teams too. It seemed like so. Aaron Mosby earning that roster spot, no doubt. Keyshawn Nixon playing all 71 snaps, 73.5. The Keyshawn Nixon slander needs to stop. I know he's not a great corner, but the fact that some people are complaining that he's playing corner is mind-boggling to me. He's exceeded my expectations this year. I don't know about you guys, but he really has, especially in the run game. Like, it just seems like when it comes to yak and it comes to running plays, Keyshawn he's one of the better corners in the league, in my opinion, at playing run defense. And I know that's not the most important aspect of playing cornerback. I get you. But when you play predominantly cover 3 zone, you want a guy that's got eyes in the backfield who's going to come up and stick his nose in there and make a tackle. You want that guy, right? Because you've got help behind you. And if you're in a deep third zone, if you play it properly, then they're not going to try to throw to your side because you're going to have over-the-top leverage. If they throw at your guy, it's going to be underneath on a dig or on a comeback route, which that's how you beat a cover 3, depending on if you're going, hard flat or a curl flat approach or even a drop. But Keyshawn, man, he's getting better. He's getting better at playing outside corner, and it's really exciting. 73.5, his run defense grade 63.8, tackle grades 80.2, and his coverage grade a 73.6. Let's see how his year has gone here real quick. So as far as defensive grades, here of lately, he's really cranked it up. Yeah. So 73, this is starting week 1, 73, 52, 62, 56, 60, 64, 65, drop back to a 46, 59.8, back down to a 45, and in these last 2 games, 83.2 against the Niners, 73.5 against the Dolphins. So Keyshawn, man, he might be peaking at the right time too. Let's see, up next, Kenny Clark. You love to see this, 70.7 for Kenny Clark. Had a rough year. There's no two ways about it. That was his second highest graded game of the year. His highest coming in week 5 against the at the LA Rams there. So a 70.7 this week. Run defense grade 74.2. Tackle grade is 69.9. So Kenny having a little bit of a bounce back game according to PFF. Let's see, Eric Stokes, 36 snaps, 69.7. Look at that. Now the tackle grade, that's the play that sticks out in my mind. I think he missed the tackle on the edge, and I was really, really frustrated with it. But the coverage grade, 69.7. Hey, look, what else can you ask for a guy that's third, fourth, probably third or fourth on your depth chart as far as outside corners go, right? Lucas Van Ness, 22 snaps, 68.9. Had a tackle grade of 72.4. Pass rush grade is 69.3. Just solid across the board, really. Really, I mean, that's, to me, his strength, in my opinion, is his tackling. It just seems like when he gets his paws on people, he brings them down. If you could give Devontae Wyatt LVN's wingspan and ability to tackle the ball carrier and give LVN Devontae Wyatt's pass rush ability, man, you're talking about creating a monster. So hopefully they can put it together. Quay Walker, 68.5. Run defense grade, 83.3. Let's freaking go. Tackle grade, 82. Pass rush grade, 76.9. Coverage grade dipped to a 55.2. Let's take a quick look at Quay and what he's done so far. Let's just look at the last 3 weeks. 62.6, 91.4, 68.5. And really, heck, if you go back 2 weeks prior to that, 76.8 in Houston. So what's his grade now for 2024? Still just sitting at a 58.1. Still pretty far down. Hey, he's cranking it up, though, man. Again, you've seen a lot of greens and blues here in these last 2 games. Let's see if he continues to improve as we go along here toward the end of the season. Devontae Wyatt, 64.9. Carl Brooks, 61.4. Brenton Cox Jr., 60.3. TJ Slayton, 60.3. The Quay Walker sack, we'll hit that on Chalk Talk tomorrow. Man, TJ Slayton just absolutely blows the whole play up. It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Kingsley Enagbare, 60.1. Carrington Valentine on 35 snaps, 60.0. Isaiah McDuffie, 59.2. But look at the run defense, 81.9. Tackle grade, 83.0. He struggled in coverage is what it says. So 49.4 according to them. Rashawn Gary had kind of a down game, 58.7. And his PFF's been pretty bad this year, really, when you think about it. From time to time, considering he is it's supposed to be our top edge defender, our top paid defender, no doubt, at the edge position. His PFF grades 59, 45, 63, 59, 66, 81, 74, 60, 63, 79, 62, and 58. So keep an eye on him. As we got, what do you have? Like 5 more? I think we got 5 more weeks left, I believe. So we'll see if Gary finishes strong. I think he's still our highest graded edge defender on the season, if I remember correctly. So Eric Wilson had kind of a bad game according to PFF, 43.8. Evan Williams had kind of a down one, 47.6. Javon Bullard, 66 snaps for Javon Bullard. They did what we kind of expected them to do, it press into big nickel a little bit. Sometimes even when there was base 21 or 12 on the field, they did that a little bit. We kind of called that in the pregame. Kobe Wooden with a 54.8 as well. So now let's take a quick glance at special teams, and then we'll go to the chat and get you guys and gals out of here. Zane Anderson, he is a real person, 17 snaps, 76.9. Malik Heath, dog, only 3 snaps, but 75.3. Eric Wilson, there's your contribution to the game, 73.1 for Eric Wilson on special teams. Javon Bullard, 8 snaps, 72.1. So those are four guys that stood out. Look at Katano Ladapo, 64.4. That's strong there as well for a rookie. So you're getting some guys contributing there on special teams as well. So those are your PFF grades for the week. And I don't know, man. I'm excited to see what this team does coming down the stretch here. Next week is going to be awesome as we get ready for the Detroit Lions. I think that's going to be a game that has the ability to be one of the top games of the year. What I like about it, too, is I'm hearing that the Lions are banged up. I haven't had a chance to really dive into it yet. But if they're banged up or not, the thing about this Detroit game, they just came off a game where they barely inked out a win with the Bears, much like we did. So, touche. But when you look at the momentum the Lions had, it kind of feels like that momentum is tapering down a touch, and our momentum is ramping up. Many times in the National Football League, it's not who you play, it's when you play them, right? You catch a team that's hot, it can be a buzzsaw. You catch a team while they're cold, it can be the spark you need to create momentum in your season. So I think that Dan Campbell, no matter who they march out there on the field, how banged up they are, I think Dan Campbell's going to have those boys ready to play. I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup. It's going to be on Thursday Night Prime, right? So it's going to be on Prime Video, and it'll be Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. I personally love them. I love the way Al calls a game, and people criticize him. He's a minimalist. He doesn't go crazy with the emotion. We live in an age where many people like the Gus Johnsons, where they're just over the top, fake excitement. Kate Scott, another one that's just like, please stop yelling. Why are you yelling? Al Michaels his approach is much like Pat Summerall. Pat Summerall was very, very minimalist. He wants you to hear the crowd. He is going to give his take on the play, add a little bit of humor, but just be very soft-spoken and let the game call itself, essentially. And I know some of the younger crowd don't like that. They think it's boring because they're used to all the hooting and hollering and the crazy catchphrases and this and that. I love Kirk Herbstreit. I think he's done a great job last few years transitioning over to the NFL as well. So they'll be on the call Thursday night. There's a thing called Prime Vision. If you guys haven't watched a Thursday night game on Prime this year, you can actually trigger it up, or they put next-gen stats on the screen, and they'll actually show you when a player's blitzing, and they get it right more times than they don't. So if someone starts to sugar, if they get into that zone where you think, okay, they might blitz, they'll light up red. There's some really cool stuff there you guys need to check out. It's really, really neat for sure. So that being said, though, I think we pretty much hit everything we wanted to hit tonight. I'm tired of talking, to be honest with you. We've been talking so much, doing multiple shows here the last few days, and obviously Thanksgiving has worn me out. So we'll probably just end it there unless you guys have anything else in the chat. I know Carl K said Stokes getting better, ? Yesterday, it seems like he did, Carl. It's just one game. But now, is it enough to save his job? Probably not, And what I mean by that is I don't think the Packers are going to try to re-sign him to top cornerback money, right? They'll probably let him test the market. They may give him an offer That's going to be very, very, very team friendly, but let him test the market. And then if it comes back, let me give you an example. When I say test the market, like let's say the Packers say, hey, we'd like to keep Stokes for $4 million per year. I personally wouldn't. That's just me. But let's say that that's the Packers number. And he's like, no, I'm worth more than I'm worth 8. Okay, cool. Go to the market. And if you get your number, then hey, whatever number you get, bring it back to us. We'll see if we can match it. And anything over 4.5, you don't match, right? Okay. Hey, look, you earned it. Appreciate your service. Good luck at the next stop, right? But if he goes out there and his best offer is, $3.5 million, and he comes back to the Packers, then, what was the offer? Show us the offer sheet. Show us proof of it, right? Here's what the team was offering. All right, we'll match that. We'll give you a little bit more than that, right? If you did that to the tune of $4 million or less, I would be okay with it. But honestly, I guess I wouldn't. Stokes, it would have to be damn near a minimal contract. That's just me. And maybe I'm too hard on him. Maybe you guys disagree. I don't know. And who knows? He might finish the season strong and change my opinion. But that's kind of how I see it right now, personally. Let's see what else we got in here real quick. The defensive player of the game had a bad PFF score. What are they watching is what IROC said. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, Quay Walker, one player of the game from our PTA listeners at 50%. That's PFF. We joke about it all the time, right? As soon as the game's over, it's like, man, I feel like he had a great game. What's a PFF grade be 30, right? I don't even remember what Quay's grade was. It wasn't bad though, was it? Wasn't it like in the 60s? So, many people see the 60s and they think, oh, that's a horrible grade. That if you grade out in the 60s on PFF, I want to say it's like above average, right? Or average to above average. That's exactly what it sounds like. Like that's everyone else at that position, other than the great players, are kind of playing on that level. The issue we have with players like this is like Quay Walker's a first-round pick, right? Devontae Wyatt's a first-round pick. Kenny Clark was a first-round pick. Kenny Clark's the highest-paid, top 3 highest-paid defensive tackles in the league, right? Jair Alexander, again, inactive once again, always banged up. One of the top 3, top 5 highest-paid corners in the league, right? You expect those guys to grade out great because, again, the rule of thumb is you're willing to overpay for great. You never overpay for good, right? Never overpay for good, but you will overpay for great or above. And when players don't play up to that level, it kind of feels like fans apply the same rules to a first-round pick, right? And as I've gotten older and been a fan a little bit longer now, I'm coming to the realization that first-round pick doesn't mean nothing. It's just simply they see a higher upside with that player than the other people on the draft board. So maybe I've been looking at it unrealistically too, That's why I'm always team trade back. Hey, let's trade out of the first round, pick up some extra picks, and just take multiple swings at guys that you think will have a chip on their shoulder, and they're really, really close to grading out to being a first-round pick. You know what I mean? So I can't wait for the draft. Draft season's going to be right around the corner. It's going to be a blast. We'll get really, really creative with the draft this year too. Obviously, it's going to be in Green Bay. I'm trying not to talk about it because we're in the middle of the season and playoff run and all that, but it's going to be awesome, man. We're going to have a good time at the draft this year in Green Bay. So. All right. All right. Appreciate you, buddy. Says W Stream. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. Anything else in here? Donald in the chat says Stokes and Valentine both need to be upgraded, in my opinion. Yeah. And Valentine's going to be on the roster. He's got multiple years on the contract. That's the floor, right? That's the floor of your corner room. If you let Stokes walk and you go try to find his replacement, what if you do hit on one like Alexander again? That would be huge. Having another stud corner opposite of Jair Alexander. And then you got Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon and these guys kind of rounding the room out for depth and competition, really, competing for that starting job. So going to be interesting. Deadfish says first home Thanksgiving win in 101 years. If that's true, that is wild, Deadfish. That's a wild statistic. So, all right. That's it, guys. I'm losing my voice. Throat's starting to hurt. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to check the schedule and see. We'll probably do a morning show tomorrow. And then I'm trying this week has got me all screwed up. Like let's see. Tomorrow will be Chalk Talk, right? So tomorrow night we'll do Chalk Talk, or late afternoon we'll do Chalk Talk. So Chalk Talk will be tomorrow night. We might not do a morning show. We'll see how we feel in the morning. Like I said, I've got kind of developing a little bit of a sore throat here. So if we get up, we feel good, get a cup of coffee in us, we might do a morning show. But definitely doing Chalk Talk tomorrow night. And then the following day, which would be Sunday, right? We can kind of recap what's going on around the league and treat that like our first day getting ready for the Lions game, kind of see what they're doing different maybe as opposed to the last time that we watched them. So that'll be a lot of fun there as well. So I see all the thank yous in the chat. A great show, Clayton, says Mike Berry. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate you. Go Pack, go Donald. You are the man. Mr. Larry Cano, thank you, sir, for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Help hit that like button. Again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. See you later, Eric. Appreciate you, pal. And we'll be back tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful evening. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. Hopefully you guys and gals had an awesome Thanksgiving as well. And we will talk to you soon. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.
Thanks for watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack, go. Have a great day.